Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I am your host, Samuel. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire country. And it doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing to diagnostic lab, you name it. You will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 5% performer within your role in sales, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. This is your host, Samuel, and today we continue with our guest, Dr. Brian Cohen, into the world of CMEfy. As we talked about in our last episode, CMEfy is a platform that allows providers to get CME credits through giving their feedback and insights on information they get from many different types of mediums, including podcasts. This is an episode you don't want to miss. The last episode was a bit of an introduction, but now we're going to get into the details and how this platform is so valuable to providers and many, many different people within healthcare. So you want to listen in. And as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast. And I really do hope you enjoy part 2 of this interview. So if you are a provider and you listen to this episode, you can actually get some CME credits by following the link in the show notes that says reflect on how this podcast applies to your day-to-day. Follow that link and follow the prompts, and you'll be able to get some CME credit from this episode you just heard. This is something that we are doing with all of our episodes on the Medical Sales Podcast. This is innovation. This is the future. And as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast. Let's say you're a sales rep and you tell Dr. So-and-so, you know what, you could look into CMEfy. It's a great platform that will allow you to get information and get CME credits. You should just look into it. And he does, he likes it, or he or she likes it. And say, you know what, not only that, I actually want to become a host within this platform because I have things to say and share. And now I want to get people to come and listen to what I have to say. They can then go back and share with the rep what they learned in regards to a specific area. That's what you're telling me.
Absolutely. And that's why what started with really a platform to embrace this clinician co-learning type of environment that exists, and to empower physicians to have the ability to drive engagement with the reward tool like CME. Right. What it's really doing is, as a speaker and as a host, I'm out there making statements. I'm stimulating thought. And that thought is being captured by each learner in their reflections that's generating their CME. So what happens with that data? Like I said, they can hold that to themselves as the learners, or they can share that back anonymously with their host. As a host, if I just spoke to 1,000 people about total knee arthroplasty and new techniques of pain control for post-op pain after total knees, and I just spoke to 1,000 orthopedic surgeons, for example, and now that's on the top of their mind, and they're able to then reflect on their thoughts and how that conversation that I just stimulated applies to them in their day-to-day practice. Mm-hmm. That may be really useful information for a company that deals with post-operative pain or total knee arthroplasties or long-acting medications or multimodal medications or anything of that sort, right, to know without really touching those learners out there what they're thinking and why they're doing what they're doing and how they're doing what they're doing. And those are dynamic insights that these days change very quickly. So, I don't need to try to get those 1,000 people to come to my dinner at Ruth's Chris, right, in order to find out what they think about the topics that I'm interested in as a company. So that's really where some of that overlap between the industry interests and the power of what these physician voices can capture with the conversations that they're already having with their peers and colleagues.
What's the normal way that these moments that are captured to reflect on, what's the normal way they're given out? Podcast you mentioned, you said webinar you mentioned, what else?
We're seeing a ton of podcast activity. I think that obviously it started during the pandemic, but it's really extended post craziness. And it's become a very reliable and resourceful, tool for clinicians to lean on to stay up to date with what their peers and colleagues are doing. We're also seeing an amazing group of physicians who are hosting these summits where, as a physician, I'm going to put on a conference. I'm going to host a summit and I'm going to say, these are the topics, and I'm going to get these amazing speakers to come and speak on these topics. And I'm going to bring in all these physicians and other clinicians who want to hear it. And it's this huge impact of this clinician-led co-learning, again, that we started to really see, I feel, within the past few years, where it's really opened up colleagues and peers to lean on each other, and to learn with each other. And again, the podcast, the webinars, the summits, honestly, this could be something as a curbside consult in the hallway of a hospital,
So that's where you lose me. When you say hallway, curbside, I mean, it's being recorded, or
no,
it's being noted that this conversation was held. And I mean,
so if I have the ability to produce a link, a CMEfy link, which again takes about 30 seconds on the platform as a host,
sure,
I can text that to the physician that I was just chatting with and said, hey, we just talked about something pretty dynamic, useful. You can reflect on it here and earn a CME for the conversation we just had.
That is fascinating.
The cool thing is what's drawing the library that this is drawing from, which is continuously expanding every day, you have the ability to search keyword content within that. So let's say we just, again, I'm in the OR with the orthopedic surgeon, and we're chatting about, ACLs and tourniquet pain. So if I wanted to, we had a conversation about it. I said, hey, this was kind of a cool conversation. I'm going to send you a link and reflect on it, and you can earn CME for your anesthesiologist bugging you across the drape for 20 minutes here.
Yeah.
And if I'm creating that link, I have the ability to put in keywords. I can put in orthopedic surgery. I can put in tourniquet pain. And it can search through the content library, and it can pull relevant nudges that stimulate thought along the lines of the conversation you had. We don't care about the conversation in a sense where we don't want your content. You don't need to document your topic. We care about the learning, and we care about the reflection, and we care about that practice of capturing that. And that becomes very important from an IP point of view, right? That's not ours to have. That's yours. You're the teacher. You're the catalyst of learning. We're just the platform that sits in between and allows you to deliver the currency, which is the CME.
That is incredible. That is incredible. Now that you've kind of painted that picture on how easy it is for a provider to do this, I mean, this must be just growing like the wind. How's it been going?
It's been fun. I mean, it's been fun in a sense where, I mentioned in the beginning, let's talk about a really boring topic of continuing medical education credits, right? Dull. I never thought I'd be talking that much about CME credits, but it's been really fun because it's been clinician centric, right? And we've been able to stick very closely to the mission of everything we do and every decision we make and every feature we add has to add value back to the clinician in the middle. We're not building another tool for the patients. We're not building another tool for the administrators or for the health systems. We're building it for the people on the ground doing the work. And it took, an initial time period to build trust, because, there aren't that many companies that we found that are actually sitting out there on the behalf of physicians and nurse practitioners and PAs and people out there, who were called healthcare heroes for about a day, but that didn't last forever. But as long as they stay in the center of our circle, we continue to build up that level of trust that we're here for them, and continue to find ways to drive value back to them. And again, when we talk about connecting with the industry side, we want to do this in support of the clinician voices. So what we want to be able to do is say, you're using your voice is powerful and is driving impact. And we capture those impact stats. We can show you how many minutes you've saved your colleagues on CME. We can show you how many of your colleagues have reflected on certain keywords and what topics they care about. Those are very important data points but those are yours as the host. So
Right.
what do you want to do with those? Well, there's a lot of people on the industry side of medicine that really care about some very specific topics, and you might be talking about them. So
Right.
let us connect you. So we can drive value that way. We can drive value by allowing them and any hosts to monetize their CME links to drive value back to them. So, hey, you're putting your voice out there, you're putting your knowledge out there. They can learn with you for free, but if they could also, if you want to charge for that CME link, that's yours to do. So continuing to find ways to drive value back to the clinicians while helping them build out their network based on their voice as a conduit into the industry, into the pharma and med devices who really want to engage with these clinicians. There are ways to do it. There's also newer ways to look at it, is what I was going to say,
So I'm thinking, let's take something simple, pharmaceutical, medical science liaison wants to talk about a new therapy, a new product, and she walks in to talk to Dr. Smith about this product. They have the conversation. The conversation's over now. There's all kinds of ideas and thoughts through the conversation. They can reach out to their network within CMEfy and ask them, hey, I just spoke with this medical science liaison from this company. What do you guys think about this drug and what it's offering to do for patients?
Yeah, that physician voice can continue to have conversations around that topic, right? And they can continue to capture these insights. And again, everything we do is opt-in. So no one is forced into sharing their thoughts or sharing their information. So just because they're having these conversations, the learners that are giving their opinions, and not really their opinions directly on, it doesn't have to be, well, I think this about that drug. They're going to say how it applies to them. I use that, but I use it in this manner, or I use it at this dosing, or I've found that it's not really the best treatment for these type of patients in my practice. That becomes packaged up if the learners choose to share that data back anonymously into, again, that powerful impact report. And that impact report can then be shared or monetized over to the industry side. And again, it's what I like about it is it's allowing all stakeholders to dive into deeper aspects of learning than they have in the past, or to pull out different levels of insight. You don't have to rely on, okay, I presented this group of 100 endocrinologists this drug at a dinner. Now I'm going to wait a year and I'm going to see how many scripts did they write for my drug.
Right.
Well, okay, they wrote 30 or 40. That's not great. Now, if I could go in and if I could actually 2 or 3 degrees of separation, hear the insights as to what they think about that drug and how it applies to their practice and their day-to-day, I'll find out why they wrote or didn't write the scripts. Maybe it was the price, maybe it was the efficacy, maybe the patients didn't like it, maybe there were side effects that they didn't heard about. It's all these insights that can be captured that, I would think that benefits that pharma company a lot more than just knowing that they spoke to that person and waiting to see what the results may be down the road. But it all stems from this stimulation of thought, stimulation of learning, and capturing of the insights in a productive way, and using CME as simply as the currency of engagement and as the reward that comes along with the participation, for the learning. Interestingly, the NHS in the UK, they've used reflective practice in their healthcare setting for a number of years and included in their credentialing process or their reaccreditation process. And really, it becomes very ingrained in the clinician's mindset of, let me evaluate my day, let me evaluate my interaction with that patient, and let me capture those thoughts. We don't do that here at all. You're starting to see discussion in the clinical world about, bringing forward a little more mindfulness during your day and learning how to kind of reset, to prevent burnout. Right. But journaling and reflection, really hasn't been pushed in healthcare, but there's multi-level benefits to it, right? To me as the practitioner and to everyone else who can learn from the insights that I have.
Now, with what we were speaking about, and especially in regards to industry, that's happening now, or is this something that you can see happening, or you've actually seen it?
So we have started to see it. So we launched Adapt Track a little over 3 years ago. That was the building of the content library that became ACCME accredited. Around the pandemic, with Clubhouse, we shifted and created CMEfy that allowed us to bring that in. The first few steps with CMEfy, in order to drive value, one, you can hand clinicians the power to create these links, but in order to then drive value to their own profile, essentially, you really have to give them the time to engage and to go out there and to learn with others and to put the links out within their learning moments and capture insights back, which has been incredible over the past 8 to 10 months now. So really where we are now is we've had some industries, and when I say industries, I would include even like medical malpractice companies, reach out and say, we know that this clinician is speaking on really powerful topics that we would love for all of our insured members to know about so they don't get sued. And so there's been engagement in that direction, as far as sponsoring, a voice. And as we're really looking now to pivot out into more of the pharma med device industry side of the world. And interestingly, I mean, as you well know, and your listeners well know, it's not a simple network to just stick your hand out and say, hey, I'm Brian, you guys want to hang out?
Right.
You want to, I mean, here. It takes a long time to build up relationships and trust, and there's a lot of nuances to the guardrails that are put up between pharma and CME and learning and relationships between physicians and the industry side. So we have found some partners in that side of the world who have very established networks already, who also have relationships with physicians. But the fun thing is, we're pulling in very different side of physicians to bring to their profiles. So it's combining a little more of the historical data that we've always thought of as, is this a good person to engage with as a KOL? With a very new mindset of, yeah, he may have written 3 papers, he may have been in practice for 35 years in this certain specialty, but has he ever talked about it? Has he ever gone out and engaged with others, and do they listen? And is that happening now, or did that happen 20 years ago? And so there's a lot more of this fluid insight data that can be brought in that really shows the current impact of who that physician is, which just adds another layer onto what the industry side may care about.
Sure. No, that's invaluable. The platform you guys have created is something that's incredibly important to the industry side. And as this platform grows, as more people get on it, I can't imagine industry leaders wanting to get on top of this and really figure it out and see how they can be a part of it.
Well, we would love it. We would love it.
That is excellent. Well, you know what? We've learned a lot today about CMEfy and how you made this happen. I'm curious. Tell us a little bit about your background and what turned you on to even wanting to do anything like this. Even before you experienced Clubhouse, what turned you on to want to just take things this direction?
So I'm a practicing anesthesiologist. I've been in practice for about 15 years. Again, started my own anesthesia company about 6.5, 7 years ago, with a couple partners. And around that same time, I actually was approached by a medical liability company to be the specialty medical director for their anesthesia and pain book of business. So what that means is, could I come in and help understand some of the applications that are coming in from the anesthesia side, understand the underwriting part of it, the claims part of it. And what that forced me to do was say, like, oh my God, like, I'm afraid to go to work tomorrow because there are so many things that can happen.
Right.
And it forced you to look at clinical practice from a risk lens, which, again, at the same time of starting an anesthesia company, was super helpful to myself and my partners, because I could go back and say, hey guys, I keep seeing this happen. Like, we shouldn't do it this way. We should do it that way. Mm-hmm. Which made me think. And then as you start going and looking at just medical liability in general, there's a reason why there's 20 years of historical data and there's trends that go along with it. There's significant patterns of what causes what leads to what. And if you could capture that, you could allow, instead of just me telling my partners what to do and what not to do, we could tell the whole world what to do and what not to do, and really help them avoid risk and claims. Right. But remember, at this point, I knew nothing about digital anything, technology, whatever. I mean, I can't even change a light bulb at home, So I had the amazing, luck of crossing paths with two other partners, one in the medical liability space, who also has a extensive background in some large healthcare insurance companies, and one his name is Sam Taggart, and Niraj Swami, who's the CEO, who has spent his career really looking at how tech intersects with human behavior and how can you use technology to improve human behavior. And when I saw what he was doing and how he thought about just everything in life and how simplified it can be, but how mission driven he was to do it for the good, we really started looking at something he had already built outside of healthcare and applying it into healthcare and saying, how can we use technology to help drive better human behavior and de-risk people and physicians through this technology piece and through these historical data, pieces. And that's really what started us down the path. We got invited very early on out to the IBM Cloud Garage in San Francisco, which is kind of a think tank of, hey, we have some ideas. We don't really know what we're doing. When you walk away, we're like, well, this is what you're doing, and go build it. I mean, I went from pushing drugs in the operating room to at a think tank in San Francisco. I'm like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And I'm still pushing drugs in the operating room, but I also have really gotten to immerse myself in how technology can really be used to help my own colleagues. And again, even over the past 3 years, even through all of the digital health products that have really come out and advanced over the past number of years, we still aren't focusing enough on the people in the middle of the equation, which is, the feet on the ground. So, that's really been the path. Again, it's been a nice balance of clinical practice, administrative challenges, and these fun projects, and that's allowed me to take in some of the challenges that I see and hear every day and try to come and find solutions for them, on the technology side with partners like Sam and Niraj. So it's been fun.
That's excellent. That is excellent, Dr. Cohen. So, what I'd ask is that, is there anything else you'd like the audience to understand? And of course, how can they find you and learn more about CMEfy for anyone that's interested?
Sure. I mean, our website is cmefy.com, CMEfy.com. Anyone can go there. They can click a button and say they're interested in hearing more. We have a wonderful concierge program that really walks anybody interested through an onboarding process and literally gets you up and running within 20 minutes to start cranking out some links and join into the platform. And again, from whatever angle you're coming from, as long as you're here to support clinician co-learning and capturing of these insights, we want to be the platform that sits there and allows it to happen. So I'd love to have you reach out, and again, you can follow up with Sam, and if happy to engage in any way.
Definitely. Well, thanks for talking to us, Dr. Cohen, and we look forward to hearing more about how CMEfy continues to grow.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. And that was Dr. Brian Cohen with CMEfy. So you heard it. If anyone is listening to this episode, if you're a provider or someone in the healthcare sales space and you see value in what you heard and you want to get access to this platform, you know where to go. He said it, cmefy.com. That's CMEfy.com. It's very easy to get started. It's very easy to just put out there that you want to find out more. You can also find Dr. Brian Cohen on LinkedIn under Brian Cohen /MD. And of course, you can find me. And if you are already connected to me and you want to be connected to him, I'd be more than happy to do so. So maybe you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, wow, I know so many things are happening in this space outside of the medical technology, such as the devices and drugs. These are ancillary services that are making it easier to provide value to providers and making it easier for providers to get value for themselves. I want to be a part of this industry. How do I make it happen? Maybe you want to be in medical device sales, or you want to be in pharmaceutical sales, or you want to be in biotech sales, but you know that you want to be a part of this industry. Then you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, select Attain a Medical Sales Role, and just follow the prompts. You'll ultimately be connected to us here at Evolve Your Success, and we can definitely talk to you about getting you into a position that's the best fit for you, that will allow you to live and thrive in the career you've always wanted. If you're someone that's in the medical sales space, maybe you work in pharma or you work in medical device, and you really want to increase your performance, you're thinking, this year I want to do things a little differently. I want to see some different results. Then again, visit evolveyoursuccess.com and select Improve Sales Performance. And then lastly, if you're someone that's thinking about branding, one thing that we do here is social media selling. We are firm believers in it because during COVID, this is where everything went. And one of the platforms that really allowed people to grow, reach their customers, and still provide a lot of value was LinkedIn. And if you're thinking about it, you've been seeing people on that platform, you're seeing them do things, and you're wondering, how does this work? How do I make this work for me or my team? Then again, visit evolveyoursuccess.com, select Improve Sales Performance, and click on LinkedIn Selling. As always, we do our best to bring you guests that are really doing things to bring innovation to the medical sales space. And by medical sales, I'm talking about medical device, pharmaceutical, biotech, everything under the medical sales sun. So continue to come back, listen to more episodes, and I look forward to providing more value. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and also how to masterfully navigate your career to executive-level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolveyoursuccess.com. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews.